This is Billy Carson. He claims a race of advanced ancient aliens created mankind, not God. His proof? Ancient Sumerian tablets that supposedly tell the whole story and refute the Bible. But that's just the beginning. Watch this clip from our full documentary. Billy Carson was one of YouTube's most viral influencers in 2024. He has spent virtually his entire life studying topics that society sees as bizarre. He talks about aliens, UFOs, outer space, theoretical physics, advanced ancient civilizations, ancient monolithic structures, living in a simulation, and New Age spirituality, just to name a few. He has a very unique worldview that combines all of these concepts together to give his audience the truth about the world we live in and where we really come from, the truth that the authorities don't want you to know. Billy has produced hundreds of hours of content on his YouTube channel, Forbidden Knowledge, which boasts over 1 million subscribers. In fact, if you search Billy Carson on YouTube, you quickly find yourself drowning in an ocean of videos. Yet despite this, most people don't know what he actually believes or why he believes it. Some write him off as a lunatic. Others think that he's a misunderstood genius. But you may be surprised when you learn the truth about Billy Carson. In order to understand Billy Carson, it is crucial to know what his main thesis is. Billy's core idea is that a race of ancient aliens, whom he calls the advanced beings, created humans through genetic modification for the purpose of slave labor. This is the true story of mankind, and all of Earth's major religions and philosophies, including Christianity, have been hiding this from the public for thousands of years. In fact, all the gods of the major religions are simply these advanced beings masquerading as gods and coercing us into worshiping them falsely. According to Billy, there is an ultimate creator God, and this God is a physical and spiritual frequency that inhabits all of us, and therefore, in some sense, we are all God-like. Once we realize these incredible truths about our origins and our human nature, we can, much like the ancient beings before us, ascend to a higher plane of existence and discover our true inner power. These are the core beliefs of Billy Carson, and before you dismiss them as stupid and bizarre, consider that at the time of recording, Billy Carson has more subscribers than some of the largest conservative Christian ministries in the entire world. More than John MacArthur's Grace to You, more than R.C. Sproul's Ligonier Ministries, more than John Piper's Desiring God. You may think that Billy's beliefs are ridiculous and absurd, but there are millions of people who hold to this strange combination of science fiction and New Age mysticism. And what most people don't realize is that Billy Carson actually offers evidence to support his shocking claims. In fact, he has offered this evidence on some of the most popular podcasts in the world, including Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David. And if you really want to understand and refute this worldview, you have to grapple with Billy's evidence. So let's allow Billy to explain in his own words what he believes and offer the strongest possible evidence to support it.
Let's talk a little bit about this pantheon that came to Earth. There's a couple of really interesting gods, lowercase g, that came here. The first one is Anu. Now, he wasn't the first one here, but he was considered to be the fatherhead or the Lord God. He was over the main gods that came to this planet. His name was Anu, A-N-U. Hence, the name that humans gave them, the Anunnaki.
Billy Carson's first premise is that humans were created by a class of advanced ancient beings that are either human or very nearly human. This is a critical part of Billy's history of the world. The Anunnaki, also called gods, aliens, or advanced beings, came to Earth and began the history of our world as we know it. But who exactly are these Anunnaki? Billy explains.
Anu had sons, okay? His sons were Enki and Enlil. Now, these two play a huge part in history and in a lot of the information that I'm talking about today. Now, these people, these three, are considered gods. They were deified by the peoples of Earth. They masqueraded as gods.
So in addition to Anu, there are his two sons, Enki and Enlil. As Billy says, these beings play a huge part, probably the most important part, in fact, in humanity's history. But where exactly is Billy getting this origin story and its characters from? Well, he gets them from some of the most ancient religious texts in the world, the Sumerian tablets of Mesopotamia.
these ancient tablets, which are, to me, some of the most interesting things about ancient history, particularly what came out of ancient Sumer.
Yeah, well, the conventional explanation is always going to the term mythology. They throw mythology around, left and right to cover up the fact that they have no clue or idea. So they turn it into mythology so they can kind of say it's all fantasy and fairy tales, and this is how they express themselves or how they understood the universe. It's all mythology, it's all fake, but in reality, it's not all fake. These people left behind such detailed records and information. It's a time capsule of information on stone tablets for us today to be able to decipher, break down, and understand, and that's what we're here to do now.
Billy has made it very clear that he does not see these Sumerian tablets as pure mythology or mere stories. Instead, he sees them as a 5,000-year-old time capsule that details the most accurate account of humanity's origins. The Anunnaki, such as Anu, Enki, and Enlil, are the powerful ancient beings described on these tablets, and according to Billy, their main goal is to act as gods, when in reality, they're not.
These people were not gods. They were flesh and blood people. They weren't multi-dimensional people. They weren't from some other universe. These were people that walked around just like we do.
This is a very common theme in Billy's alternative history. The beings that we think are so mighty and powerful are really not so different from us. They simply pretend to be gods. But this leads to the natural question: why exactly do human beings think that they are gods when they're actually not? Again, Billy explains.
But they were knowledgeable. They had advanced technology. They had wisdom beyond what we had. They knew about genetics and how to modify genetics. They knew about chemistry. They knew about alchemy. They knew about quantum physics and quantum mechanics. They understood planetary alignments. They understood navigation through stars as left behind by some of these Sumerian tablets that depict star maps.
So in reality, these are not gods, but they have such superior technology and secret knowledge that human beings are easily deceived into worshiping them. And this leads to an even bigger part of Billy's story, namely that these advanced beings have been tampering with human existence for thousands of years. In fact, they created human life as we know it, and you might be surprised as to how they did it.
They go to war, they get ready to go to battle, and then Enki says, I have an idea that will stop this war. There's an existing being on this planet, existing, not something that doesn't exist, existing. We can add our essence to it with a slain god. So they're talking about taking the DNA or genetics from one of themselves and mixing it with the DNA of the hominid that was here. It's not specified whether it was, an ape man or anything, but they don't specify in the tablets, but to create a worker being. And they began to do this genetic modification.
According to Carson, the Anunnaki created mankind by taking a pre-existing hominid human-like ancestor and manipulating its genetic code, even going so far as to insert their own genes into us. This is what created what we now call the human race. But when they changed our genetics, they did something very interesting to keep humanity under their thumb.
To get us to take orders from them, they inserted something called a worship gene, which was just discovered recently, that human beings have a gene inside of them that can be turned on and turned off. It can be turned off in a laboratory setting. It can also be turned off with a magnetic field around your head. And when it's off, you don't want to worship anything outside of yourself. You look inside, and when it's on, you look to get something from the outside. So this is incredible.
This is yet another astounding claim. The advanced ancient beings inserted a gene into humans that guarantees humanity's loyalty to them and their desires. This is another major theme of Carson's worldview. He sees the idea of worshiping another sentient being as absurd, ridiculous, and anyone who does it as being utterly tricked and deceived. Fascinatingly, according to Billy's interpretation of the Sumerian tablets, human beings were actually created in a place called Eden, but probably not the Eden that you're thinking of.
Enlil created this place called Eden in Mesopotamia, E-D-I-N. And in this Eden, it was an outdoor laboratory with this huge gate and guards, armed guards surrounding it, as evidenced in the Apocrypha text. So if you read the book of Adam, you discover that there were armed guards at the gates to Eden.
There are a few differences between Billy's Eden, spelled E-D-I-N, and the traditional Christian understanding of Eden, spelled E-D-E-N. The Eden of Billy's worldview was an outdoor laboratory, in his words, where the advanced ancient beings genetically experimented on the earliest humans. As mentioned, this information can be found in the apocryphal text. Specifically, he's talking here about a text called the Book of Adam. And you can see all this for yourself in his full video entitled, "Could the God of the Bible Really Be Satan?" In this clip, we see a great example of Carson's methods for research. He reads a wide variety of ancient and historical texts and then attempts to put the pieces together himself, making connections wherever he can find them. Enjoyed this video? Watch the next clip or watch the full documentary. Fight for Truth is powered by viewers like you. Become a monthly patron for as little as $7 and get free exclusive merch after 3 months. Help us reach 100 patrons and make more videos like this one. Thank you and God bless.